Broadcasting to you live from the Orion spiral arm of the Milky Way galaxy, the solar system planet Earth, North America, the United States of America, somewhere outside of the 2026 NFL Draft. Not this week, but the next week. My name is Brian Engelman. Today is Wednesday, April 15th. Happy tax day to those of you who celebrate 2026, and this right here, the thing that you're watching is called why did it not go up? Try it again. This thing is called the TNAM Daily Show. That's weird. I clicked the button and everything. TNAM, of course, stands for the New American Media. Let's make it larger. The New American Media, because the old American media has failed you on today's show. Is it going to be time to pass the Save America Act, or is it going to be time to replace leader John Thune? Enough. Get it done. We're burning daylight. You want to see what the Democrats have in store for America? Look to Virginia. No. And you see these reports that Virginia is trying to give their electoral votes to whoever wins the national popular vote. What is even happening with this movement? The whole reason there's an electoral college is to prevent 6 large states from dominating the election. Look to Virginia to see the hellscape that awaits us if the Republicans don't smash the Democrats in these midterms. So while we're infighting, and I say we because I am opposing whatever the Joe Biden, Barack Obama, Eric Swalwell, Nancy Pelosi, Ilhan Omar wing of the Democrat Party is, I'm against that. What's the thing opposing that? That's MAGA. What is MAGA? You know, that depends. Who are you talking to? What phase of MAGA are we talking about? Has MAGA changed? Has MAGA become infiltrated by rhinos and warhawks like Lindsey Graham? I mean, Marco Rubio is the Secretary of State, by the way. Or is it a good thing that we're using the military operations across the globe to reset the old world order? Sure seems like 12 years. Let's just call it 16 years. Tack on Trump's 17th year. For about 17 years in a row, the deep state has pretty much been getting whatever it wants. That whole first Trump term was stopped with fake impeachments and nonsense. Whole agenda blocked, railroaded, derailed, sidetracked, handcuffed, weighed down, limited, trapped in a box. Recalibrating Venezuela, the Panama Canal, Greenland, Iran, the Strait of Hormuz, recalibrating Ukraine, Russia, changing the global energy distribution system into the Gulf of America away from this tiny little Strait of Hormuz. What's happening right now? How is it impacting Russia and China? Depends who you ask. It depends who you listen to the most. If you listen to people that say, oh, Russia and China have never been stronger, then that's probably what you're going to be thinking. Or if you hear that it's completely reconfigured the global dynamics in a good way, maybe now China doesn't get their cheap oil that they can use to lower the production costs and undercut America on the global stage with international distribution, manufacturing. It's one of those maybe so, maybe not situations. Will it be bad? I don't know. Maybe so, maybe not. Will it be good? Maybe so, maybe not. But we're here to unpack the stories. Also, we're going to talk about Katy Perry. That one's gross. I think we covered it the other day, but it's here. And as Eric Swalwell and maybe Ruben Gallego are going to be drummed out of office for their improprieties, let's look at Katy Perry, that has been on her television show creeping on young men. And what do you do when the Me Too is a she too? We'll talk about all these and more. So hit the thumbs up button, hit the like button, share this show with a friend, subscribe to the program, and buckle up, buttercups. The TNAM Daily Show starts now.
Your guide to the truth, thenewamericanmedia.com.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for being here. That includes Patriot Warrior Texas in Rumble. Make sure you're all following the New American Media on Rumble. We want to grow our Rumble platform. He says, I'm listening, but got tech on my computer. Fixing issues. I think that's what Marion said yesterday. You're having tech issues. What kind of issues are you having? I know it's one of those you go, ooh, I shouldn't have even asked. Not like I'm an expert. But the one thing I do know is that it's always a good idea to completely restart the device and make sure all the updates are in check. Hello to Rob Conrad. Hello, how are you? Haven't noticed you in the comments section before. Thanks for joining us on YouTube. Yes, follow us on YouTube. This is where I will tell you about Rumble and YouTube. You can become a monthly subscriber, I think for like as little as $5 a month. And that's how you support independent journalism, independent media, independent punditry. That's how we roll. You can become a monthly member on Rumble and YouTube, and you can drop us Rumble rant tips and super chat tips. I'm your humble bartender here. We're going to talk about all the stories on the television sets behind me. That's what we do. You belly on up to the bar, and if you have a good time at the end of your experience, you know, you kind of make it rain. You toss some coinage into the tip jar. And by coinage, we mean bills, yo. Thank you to everybody who has. We are halfway through the month of April, and April needs some super chats. So bring them. And thank you for bringing yourself today to the regulars and the first timers. Please share the show and invite some of your friends. Send a link to the show out to a couple of your smart friends and be like, hey, it's noon. And I know the past few days, the noon has been a little bit less stringently starting at noon. But such is life. It's spring. And I don't know if any of you have a property to maintain, but when spring springs, there's just stuff that needs to happen. And that's where we've been. That's what we've been dealing with. So the start times have been a little wonky, but roughly speaking, send a text of the show to a friend of yours and be like, hey, it's noon Eastern. We talk about the news together, jump into chat. So thank you all for being here. All right. Oh, the other way to become a monthly supporter is on Patreon, of course. Please consider signing up. And you can do Venmo, Cash App, and PayPal, all linked at the bottom of the screen, scrolling for you. The New American Media has a presence on Instagram, and we ask that you follow us on Instagram. Different content gets shared there, and oftentimes it becomes stories that we talk about on today's show. This will be no exception, so let's lead with that. Fox did a good job here breaking down what's going on with what they're calling, what Clayton Kearns is calling, a geopolitical masterclass that we're witnessing. He says, take 6 minutes to watch this and you'll be more educated than 99% of Americans on the geopolitical masterclass that we're witnessing. So let's watch a bit of this and see if we're in agreement on what's happening in Iran. There's a lot of Chicken Little. The sky is falling. Trump is no longer MAGA. We got to bail on Trump and MAGA. And you can't believe he posted that. I just go, guys, look at Virginia. Do you see what Virginia is doing on every level to try to change this country, not for the better? We don't need to love everything about Trump and MAGA and Republicans. We don't. We need to look at Democrats and go, that must be stopped. And that's why we're calling on John Thune. And by the way, if you haven't called John Thune, call John Thune. I had his number pulled up somewhere. I think I've called him a couple of times. Maybe at the same amount of times I called Speaker McCarthy. A few, but not as many as I need to. So I'm open to doing more. All right, let's hear it.
Fox News alert, Trump just opened the Strait for business, unless you're going to Iran.
Okay, so Strait's open. Unless it's not, but let's assume it's open based on this report.
In the first 24 hours of the Hormuz blockade, no ships from Iranian ports made it past our fleet.
So they can't send anything out. Nothing is being exported through there. Good, you're locked in.
6 merchant vessels tried and they were turned around. If a ship doing business with Iran gets anywhere near the blockade, Navy SEALs will board it, put a gun to the captain's head, and turn it around.
Is it really that stark?
The Wall Street Journal reports that 20 commercial ships have passed through peacefully into the Persian Gulf.
Peacefully and patriotically. You know, they said, sir, why would you say fight like hell, but then say peacefully? And a lot of people can't even believe it, patriotically and peacefully.
Now, when Iran controlled the Strait, that number was 0. Foreign tankers are
So Iranian controls, 0 tankers went through. Now there's 20.
starting to sail in and out, and Iranian ships aren't allowed to come in or out.
Oh, they can't go in or out. 0 Iranian ships can do they're just locked.
CENTCOM says we have over 12 warships, 100 fighter and surveillance aircraft, and 10,000 service members out imposing the blockade.
Is that overkill? Is that, I don't know. Is this America being a bully, or is this America achieving objectives that are going to help the world? This $4 gallon of gas crap can go back to hell where it came from. 99 cents a gallon is too much.
Including the USS Tripoli, our amphibious assault ship. It's currently positioned in the Arabian Sea with 3,500 sailors and Marines on board, including the 31st Expeditionary Unit. They've been doing night deck shooting drills.
Night deck shooting drills. I mean, I'll tell you what, there's one thing that is happening is that America is dusting off. You know, it's spring. I had to do the shed. I'm doing areas of the garage, kind of piecemeal, because there's just a lot to do. You know, in this time of year, if you have a property, I mean, it's a lot of yard work, it's housework, it's bushes, shrubs, trees, flowers, cleaning, painting, repairing, patching, nailing, screwing, gluing, just sealing, repairing, just all sorts of stuff. But it's in the process of getting through all that stuff that you're able to get a little bit of you almost have to take everything out to reconfigure. What's a better way to put this stuff back? And I'll tell you what, the troops, the military that's been gutted under Biden, Obama, and you can say you don't like the big, beautiful bill and it's too much debt and too much to the military, but if your commander-in-chief is asking for a fully funded force, do you want them to have tools at their disposal, or do you want them to be handicapped? Do you want them to have one hand tied behind their back, fighting a system that's been rigged against us in favor of China and others for a very long time? Too many American politicians have been bought and sold, and it doesn't really matter if the American people are winning or losing. It doesn't really matter if the American people are succeeding, thriving, because they got theirs. They have their financial supporters. They have their influence, power, control. They have their systems in check. This military is getting dusted off. Back to the garage and shed analogy. It's time to dust off the chainsaw, dust off the hedge trimmer, dust off the weed whacker, dust off the leaf blower, dust off the lawnmower, dust off the stretching it out. All right, well, you need to add some oil to the joints. You got to clean some stuff up. You got to maintain your stuff. You got to take everything out of the shed and see what I have. Oh, I could throw this stuff out. Oh, I could combine these things together. Oh, that doesn't need to be here. Oh, this should actually be in there. Let me move some of this stuff around. And that's what's happening. And I definitely want this group to be caught up, prepared right now. When we talk about this administration, we talk about an administration that was under multiple death threat, assassination attempts. Multiple. I mean, at least a few that we know of. We're talking about the lawfare to remove him in the first place and try to pin some sort of insurrection on him. New American media was there on January 6th. He did not say, our commander-in-chief did not say, let's take our pitchforks and torches and go get everybody in Congress out. We're taking our country back. Said, we're going to march down there. We're going to fight like hell. Make your voices heard peacefully and patriotically. And then some people did some things. That's the Ilhan Omar. Some people did some things. This administration is stretching out and getting caught up on some stuff. Why has Cuba been such a mess, a communist Marxist hellhole for so long? In our hemisphere, why is our southern border wide open? Why did we cede control of the Panama Canal to Chinese interests? What the hell is going on from Jimmy Carter to Joe Biden, from Barack Hussein Obama to Bill Clinton? You know, I mean, there's a lot to unpack and a lot to reconfigure. So no, I don't see us indiscriminately, us being the United States, causing havoc everywhere and anywhere. But yeah, in any operation, there's going to be collateral damage. There's going to be casualties. And it's tough to stomach and it's tough to support. But on the grand scheme of things, this guy was put back in office after he was railroaded out of his second term. And you hear that phrase, let him cook. What does that mean? Well, it means different things to different people. In sports, say the Cleveland Browns. By the way, we'll be doing our Strictly Football show. I got to get back to the guys to set a date. We're either going to do a mock draft. Let me take a look on text. Myself, Mike Barrett, Jim Mitchell, Ezrael Robinson. Mock draft show a week from tomorrow. I'll say this Monday, ? 3 p.m. EST. Okay, so we're going to pencil that in. Monday, 3 p.m. Eastern, our mock draft for Strictly Football. Myself, Mike Barrett, Jim Mitchell, Ezrael Robinson. It looks like Jim is good that day. Izzy says it's good. So I'm confirming Monday, 3 p.m. Eastern. But if you got a running back, you feed him the rock. Oh man, he's running really aggressive out there. He's doing great out there. Well, then let him cook. Give him the ball. Keep handing him the ball. Let him cook. Do it. Let him do his thing. Yeah, well, the president's unhinged. Did you see his Jesus meme? Do you see him arguing with the Pope? Uh-huh. Let him cook. Let's see how this shakes out. There's panicins, there's never Trumpers, there's pundits that have found that if they stay anti-Trump, they make a ton of money. I'm not really interested in panicking and flipping out or giving the Democrats an inch. I got a lot of stuff going on. But anyway, we're dusting stuff off and we are finding out what we're made of. We're testing our capabilities. And I think that's generally a good thing.
And our F-35 stealth fighter jets were seen taking off from the Tripoli, too, helping us maintain supremacy in the skies and the high seas. Soon coming to help, the USS Boxer. The 11th Marine Expeditionary Unit on board has been executing round-the-clock live fire drills on the water as our armed forces prepare for the second phase of the blockade.
Clear the Straits of Hormuz, make sure it's clear of mines, open up other channels. We saw some of that going on this weekend. Next thing is secure it and provide escorts for the ships to come through it.
Because the escorts were because Iran said, well, we put mines out there, but we're not going to tell you where they are.
And we would do that initially and then eventually transfer that to allies and partners to take that over from us.
CENTCOM's focus now is demining the strait, if there are even mines in the first place. Last week, the president called a...
Yeah, and some of that could have just been... they could have just been saying that. I think he was just insinuating if there even were mines in the first place. I agree. I just noticed a comment here while I'm watching this. It's crazy. Rich says it's crazy how easy it is to understand why America as a nation needed to handle this on a global scale. With the debt where it's at, with the BRICS movement and nuclear threat, it's not complicated. Everyone acts like it's strictly BB pulling strings, but that's just what they want you to think. We were about to be non-existent in under 10 years. Oh, I mean, Europe has been overthrown. America was in the crosshairs. America is still in the crosshairs. This is a global pushback. Venezuela, how much poison were they dumping into our communities? A bunch. And how many monsters were they dumping into our fence line to terrorize our communities? A lot. I'm glad that stopped. Hello, Mike. How are you? Joining us from Facebook, saying Gary Sinise is playing a great Pope right now. Straight out of Central Casting. You think the Pope looks like Gary Sinise? I wonder if anyone else has made that. Well, speaking of the Pope, real quick, since you brought it up, Pope Leo receiving massive criticism after appearing to promote an alliance between Muslims and Catholics during his trip to Algeria, not only going shoeless and signing the golden book inside Algeria's Grand Mosque, but also declaring it a space proper to God. I spelled that wrong. Proper to God. Cardinal Sarah says, wake up, Islam is a danger if Christians don't start caring about our... Actually, I don't know if this is an accurate quote. Let me ask Grok. All right, Jamie, look that up and see if that's an actual quote. Wake up. Oh, wait, hold on. Verification of the quotes. It matches verbatim. Sarah, a Guinean cardinal known for his conservative views. Yeah, this guy should have been made Pope. This guy. I guess he does look like Gary Sinise. All right. I could see it. Hello, Marion in chat. Happy to have you here. Everybody hit the thumbs up button. Hit like, hit subscribe. I know sometimes people forget to smash the thumbs up in the like button, but you're not one of those. You're one of the great ones. Do this. Hit the like button, please. Okay, it appears direct or closely paraphrased public remarks. Pope Leo says we should perhaps be a little less fearful of Islam. Oh. Cardinal Sarah says, wake up, Islam is a danger. If Christians don't start caring about our faith, Islam will take over the West. So there is an ideological split within Catholicism. Catholicism is an offshoot of Christianity. You could say, oh no, Catholicism, Catholics, that's Christian. You could go, tell me where we should put an intermediary between God and ourselves, whether that's talking to a priest in a box or having some pope on some lectern giving us some sermon as a representative of God. Yeah, I'm kind of good on that. Now I'm very good on that. I don't need any of that. So some of that overlaps, and some of that is very different from what a lot of Christianity is, and some will call Catholicism a cult. Some have said the same about Christianity and Islam and Catholicism. Go down the list, really. Anything someone else is into, if they're into ultimate frisbee, they're in a cult. I mean, okay. They're a part of something. They're part of a group. They participate in something. Call it cult-like if you want. Droopy Dog hitting comments. Thank you for being here. Everybody hit the thumbs up button, hit like, hit subscribe, share the show. Remember, we have Rumble Rant tips and Super Chat tips. You just click that button and send something over, and it helps make our days. So thank you. Anyway, back to Iran, and U.S. forces have started mine-clearing mission.
Iran's bluff, and so far, we haven't found a single mine in the water.
Is that good or is that bad? I mean, I guess it's good. The thought was put out there. It was confirmed to not be true, but it wasn't like we were reckless and just proceeded as if it wasn't true. You respect the bomb threat, but you're also aware of the fact that things might be not as reported.
In our toolbox, we have Seahawk helicopters, knife fish mine hunters, and knife fish drones to find any floating explosive. Navy divers are next.
We're looking at probably at least 2, 3, 4 days of searching.
And this is what an amazing training exercise this is. There's nothing offensive about this. This is to safely stabilize an area. A very dangerous area.
And then it depends whether we find something. We find something, we'll mark it, continue searching, and then that involves using an ROV, a remotely operated vehicle robot, or possibly sending a Navy EOD diver down to go take care of that mine, which is the job that I trained for most of my entire career, and I'm insanely jealous of the guys who get to go do the deed.
The Strait was the Iranian.
Yeah, this is the chance to practice. This is the chance to do some things. Strait of Hormuz. That's Oman on the other side of the Iranian area. Let's just kind of take a look at it. I mean, how many times have you actually looked at the map? If we're going to say Strait of Hormuz like we're so damn smart. Gulf of Oman, the Persian Gulf, Abu Dhabi, Dubai. So when you hear about Dubai and all of the investments and all of the stuff happening in Dubai, that is the Strait of Hormuz. The Strait of Hormuz is Dubai, Abu Dhabi, United Arab Emirates, Oman, and another little piece of Oman there. That's kind of weird. This little landmass looks like a shamu swimming through it. That's pretty cool.
Last card to play, and they're losing it. Our ships just went up the gut, and the mullahs didn't do a thing about it. We thought the Houthis might join the fight, but they stayed on the sidelines. Now we're squeezing Iranian heads to the wall.
Uh-huh. Take a look at this map here. Iran up top, Qatar on the west. I don't know. I don't know if this northeast, southwest as I'm looking at it. Here, let me largify. Largify it. Muskrat over there. Oman, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Bahrain, Iran, in the Strait of Hormuz. I mean, that is a really strange choke point there, is it not? If you're just looking at this militarily. I mean, wouldn't the river or the Gulf, wouldn't it just go directly through here? What's causing all of this? What is the population in this area? Would it make sense to have a second one down here? But this is a super choke point. As it's built right there, I mean, if you control this area, you control a ton. And I think one of the biggest things that's being bandied about right now is the shipping. It is, should this be international water? Should Iran have the authority to choke this off and block this off and use it as a weapon? And if not, who's supposed to enforce it not being allowed to be that way? Does the United States have to do this? Is United Nations? Europe? Who's some other Gulf states? Like, how are we going to figure that out? I mean, President Trump has not been able to rely on the United Nations, hasn't been able to rely on the Democrats. The Democrats just oppose whatever he says. If he says, let's do grilled cheese and tomato soup for lunch. No, I can't believe it. It's a genocide against something. Like, shut up. I mean, I am beyond the constant Democrat, anti-Trump, anti-MAGA, anti-America stuff. Save America Act has, what, 87% approval rate? And it should even be higher than that. Just pass that. Oh, wait. Then it would stop your plan to overthrow this country, wouldn't it? I know. David says, I wish this would be over already. I know. I agree. But steps are being taken. Steps are being taken. Mike says, typical Republicans focusing only on the Straits of Hormuz and completely ignoring the gays of Hormuz. The zing. Nice. Yeah, that is a very underrated joke that's going around. Thank you for bringing that one. That's what I want. I want more jokes like that, everybody.
We put the military pressure on Iran to degrade their capacities to menace the region, and now we're going to put an economic squeeze on them.
Iran was a mess. A violent, threatening mess.
Their oil revenues from coming out of their country. There'll be other sources of economic pressure as well, but that's the way to bring this conflict to an end.
The Iranians are in a state of fear. Without the Strait, Iran can't import or export anything. And there's not a lot of stuff that's made in Iran. Their currency is about to collapse, and they're already staring down the barrel of hyperinflation. The administration believes we're at the point where the Iranians are waving the right flag. And we're making the Chinese nervous.
Okay. If this switch is made, it could be argued that's a really good thing. If the switch is made and all of the Iranian people have to suffer through the massive hyperinflation, and I mean, it's not like they haven't been suffering with, what's the number, 45,000 protesters shot and killed by the Islamic supremacist regime that overthrew that nation in 1979. It's not like they weren't suffering before an economic collapse. What if they had a good, what is good? There you go, nation building again. How well did that work in Iraq and Afghanistan? I know. You can never argue with the anti-war person because they have the high ground every time. They do. They do. However, since the bad guys have been in charge and running things into the ground, destroying our way of life, being humanity's way of life for far too long, maybe a recalibration was in order. Perhaps, is there any chance you'd be willing to consider that as a possibility? Maybe, maybe not. Some of the people in my life, though, man, they are just, if it's bad against Trump and it can be used to try to take support away, man, that is what they are pushing nonstop.
Their ghost fleet has been suctioning up all that cheap sanctioned Iranian oil, and now that supply's dried up.
China doesn't have their cheap black market oil now.
It's starting to bite because for the first time, Xi Jinping weighed in on the war, and he called the blockade, quote, dangerous and irresponsible. That's when you know it's working. On top of that, we're backing them into a corner in their own neighborhood. The Pentagon just entered into a defense deal with Indonesia. Why does that matter? Well, 80% of China's oil imports pass through the Strait of Malacca, right off the Indonesian coast.
So that's the Strait of Malacca. Why did I do that? This is weird. I'm typing and it's not working. Let's try it again. Try to get the Strait of Malacca off of Indonesia. Malaysia. Here's the Strait of Malacca, Thailand, Indonesia. I want to zoom out a little bit. Here's the Strait of Malacca. Zoom out a bit. Trying to familiarize myself with this a little bit. All right, there's the Strait of Malacca right there. Yeah, let's go full screen so y'all can see this. What do you got? Vietnam, Cambodia, Thailand, Laos, Burma, Bangladesh, India, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Singapore, Brunei, Indonesia, Philippines, Hong Kong, Taiwan, China, Australia. Malaysia, Singapore is Malacca. Today's me doing my deep dive on this.
It's the world's largest oil choke point. Second, the Strait of Hormuz. The U.S. military is now securing both. And on top of that, we have the Suez and the Panama Canal.
Too much of this infrastructure has been outside of... it's been under mismanagement for a while. And that's all changing.
If Xi calls the gay Ayatollah and tells him to beg for mercy...
If she calls the gay Ayatollah. Has anyone seen this guy?
He'll beg for mercy. Beijing knows when it's over. Iran can't lose its sugar daddy, and China's not going to watch its favorite gas station go bankrupt. The Chi-Com's already lost one proxy, Venezuela. They can't lose two in the same year. Speaking of proxies, Iran's about to lose Hezbollah. Rubio's cutting a deal in Lebanon.
This is about bringing a permanent end to 20 or 30 years of Hezbollah's influence in this part of the world. This will take time, but we believe it is worth this endeavor, and it's a historic gathering that we hope to build on.
This six-week excursion is turning into a powerful display of American military will. The commander-in-chief's committed to the mission's objectives, and the Pentagon, the War Department, is executing the strategy decisively. Smart money continues to love the blockade. Oil futures just closed in the mid-80s, and the market just clawed back all of its losses from the beginning of the Iran war.
Oh.
And Trump says over the next 2 days, we could have round 2 of peace talks.
Okay. Let him cook.
Vance says there's a very good offer on the table.
If you guys commit to not having a nuclear weapon, we are going to make Iran thrive. We're going to make it economically prosperous, and we're going to invite the Iranian people into the world economy in a way they haven't been in my entire life. And that's the kind of Trumpian grand bargain that the president has put on the table. Man, we're going to keep on negotiating and try to make it happen because it would be great for the world. It'd be great for our country. It'd be great for everybody.
It's a great offer. Hand over the uranium, chillax on the missiles, and the West will invest. And we can have peace in the Middle East. But the Iranian delegation doesn't have the power to approve the deal. Vance told Fox the ministers have to fly back to the bunkers and ask the Iranian generals if it's okay. Who knows what they're going to say? They're just a bunch of fanatics. And if that's the case, we can always go back to bridge and power plant day.
Oh, yeah.
It's chess, but it's also a long-range game as well, because at the end of the day, the Iranian regime needs to be brought to its knees and realize that it cannot be trusted.
I mean, it can be trusted to cause the problems that it's always caused.
This is no longer about trust and verify. This is about they have lied, they have obfuscated, and they have murdered for 47 years. It is their actions that are going to count when they come to the negotiating table.
All right. That was a pretty good overview. I'm glad we took a few minutes to break that down. Let them cook. Let's see how it shakes out.
Fox.
Yeah, the question, why is gas high then? All right, let's keep bouncing through Instagram here. Hit the thumbs up button, hit like, hit subscribe. Consider dropping a Rumble rant or a super chat. Tip. Dylan Sang here says, my post's probably ruining my love life, but I don't care. Y'all come first. You could tweak that. It's like, my posts are probably ruining my life, but I don't care. Y'all come first. That one resonated. I'm like, every day I wake up, it's like, I got to post stuff. I got to talk about what people are talking about. Got to see what's going on. I'm infinitely curious. My posts are probably ruining my life, but I don't care. Y'all come first. You do.
Would I vote for Trump?
Andy Frisella shares some of his frustrations about Trump.
Would I vote for Trump, how Trump's being right now? Fuck no. I don't have a political affiliation. Did I support Trump? Yeah, absolutely.
But that's the anti-cult member. It's like, don't make me just go along with everything you do just because you're doing it. That's not the bargain we agreed to. When you see President Trump strike out, lash out against Riley Gaines or Thomas Massey or Marjorie Taylor Brown, and you go, come on, man. Or the Pope. But I don't know. I mean, what's the Pope been up to? What have they all been up to?
I voted for Trump 3 times. But I also know, because I've read every single book that there is to read about Donald Trump. I was studying him as a businessman.
It's a philosophy with him. What does he have as a guiding force? Well, it's payback.
Before he was ever a politician. If you go read his book, there's a book called Think Big and Kick Ass. It's one of the best business books ever fucking written. There's an entire
Think Big and Kick Ass. That's a Trump book?
Chapter written about revenge. He is not a look the other way motherfucker.
No, Trump doesn't look the other way. He gets revenge. And you go, well, that can't be true. There have been no indictments. Comey, Clapper, Brennan, Clinton, Obama, Biden, Mayorkas. Where are the grand conspiracy indictments? The treason of 2020. Where is the payback? You just kind of wonder, like, sheepishly, like, what is Trump doing? What is this all about?
He's not that guy. This is a guy who wrote a whole book. I don't know a single other author.
Thousands of books about business and
Winning, and all this shit. You know what they all say? Don't worry about revenge. The best revenge is success.
Yeah, a lot of people say, just let that stuff go, but not Trump.
That's what they all say. You know what Trump says? Fuck that, kill him. I think there's...
I don't think he's literally calling for snuffing out of human life, but he means destroying them.
A lot of things happening here at the same time. And Royce, to your point, I think he's trying to thread the needle to get...
There are a lot of things happening here at the same time. And after the bunker busters were used, okay, now they're not wagging around nuclear threats. Go get the rest of it and replace these idiots. We're so sick of being threatened by these guys. We're so sick of getting attacked by these guys, being held hostage for these guys, paying an oil tax for the privilege of navigating around this horn with these guys. Once that first step happened, this second step seemed almost inevitable. So you could say, well, we shouldn't have done the first thing. Okay, maybe. Maybe so, maybe not. But Andy here says there's a lot of things happening at once, and he's trying to thread the needle.
Get to a point to where he can do the thing that he promised that he would do. And if he doesn't do it, and I'm going to say this until I'm blue in the face, we have to do it.
What does that look like, that we have to do it?
We have to do it. Would I vote? Would I vote for Trump?
Here's a reminder that your death will come on an ordinary day, in the middle of unfinished plans, and the world will continue without you. So live a little. Damn, that one hit me. We've had to lay people down in our lives, right? We've had to say goodbye to loved ones. Your death will come on an ordinary day, in the middle of unfinished plans, and the world will continue without you. So live a little. David says, think big and kick ass. I like it. Is that the name of a book? Jamie, look that up. Think big and kick ass. I know The Art of the Deal. I've read that one. This is it right here. Think big and kick ass. From 2007. Revenge, how and when to get it and why it's so sweet. I should obtain this and read it. David, get the book. Give us a report, a book report on it. But yeah, this one just said, your death will come on an ordinary day, in the middle of unfinished plans, and the world will continue without you. So live a little. I like that.
Walk, that's a blessing. The fact that you woke up, that's another blessing.
I'll mute it because there's piano. The fact that you can see, think, reason, that's another blessing. The fact that you can go somewhere and get something to eat, that's another blessing. The fact that you can go and turn the key and call someplace home, that's another blessing. The ability to dream is a blessing. The fact that you have an opportunity to get it right is another blessing. So yeah, that's a lot of followers. 1.9 million. All right, I'll follow. But it's just changing your mindset about all just being angry or worried about the things we don't have, or being feeling blessed about the things that we do. Staying full of gratitude and counting blessings seems like a good idea to me. All right. I told you about Virginia and just how bad it is. Take a watch. This is the worst. I mean, Virginia is absolutely under attack. Outrage is erupting across Virginia after Abigail Spanberger signed HB 965 into law, effectively rendering Virginians' presidential votes null and void, with the measure handing the state's electoral votes to the national popular vote winner, regardless of states' results. This means if California and New York vote Democrat by enough margin, Virginia's electoral votes go to Democrats. Even if Virginians voted Republican by a landslide. This is exactly, literally, why the Electoral College exists, to prevent the most populous states from running the country over everyone else, says Wall Street Bullion. Resist Democrats everywhere. Save Virginia. Saw that reported in multiple places. I believe that's accurate. If I'm misunderstanding what the bill is, please let me know in the comments.
Watching every,
but I don't think I am misunderstanding it. Yeah, who's this guy? Aaron Loves America. Not familiar with him, but the point he made here, sort of in theme with what we've been talking about.
Everybody blackpill and outrage over the Strait of Hormuz closure just makes me think that people can't zoom out and actually just look at stuff.
And don't black pill everything all day. Please stop that shit.
Iran is already changing their tone. They're going to come back to the table. Why is that, you say? Simple, because Iran is a proxy state to China. China says, hey, quit screwing around. You're costing us $400 million a day by keeping the strait closed. You have to go negotiate with America to get the strait back open. Meanwhile, this is the Gulf of America, and I know what you're saying. We don't have the infrastructure to support all those tankers. I know when we start exporting oil and the prices of oil are high, that means Exxon and Chevron are going to be able to improve their infrastructure, bringing oil drilling, remember drill, baby, drill, back to American shores. Oh, and then when they have more money, they're going to be able to leverage the finishing of the Keystone Pipeline, which Obama and Biden fought against with their Green New Deal and all the other climate nonsense. Just look at these record prices for crude oil exports on a record pace. We secured Venezuela and their oil and their natural minerals. We now have deals in place with the entire Western Hemisphere from Greenland, which everybody laughed at, but now we secured the Arctic shipping routes. The cartels are in line. We have deals with Venezuela, and 36% of the world's oil is controlled right now by the American administration. Watching everybody blackpill and outrage over the Strait of Hormuz closure just makes me think that people...
Well said. I want to call attention real quick over here onto our Rumble account. Patriot Warrior Texas jumped off the top ropes in the wrestling ring there in purple. Can I zoom in? Do I need to get out of the frame? Dropping a $25 Rumble rant tip into the tip jar. Thank you so much. Says, Jamie, go buy me that book. There we go. So now we can go ahead and get Trump, Think Big and Kick Ass. $22.52 in paperback with free Amazon delivery. Thank you so much, Patriot Warrior. It is donations like this that are super crucial, super needed, super appreciated. It is the lifeblood of what we do here. It gives me the fuel that I need for the fire to burn, and it's burning, and I have returned, said Eminem. But it feeds me the fuel that I need for the fire to burn. So thank you. That's fantastic. And yeah, everybody, no panicins, no black pills, please. We got a nation to save.
Watching everybody...
I don't know this account, so take it with a grain of salt. But now we're hearing... Hang on, I'm trying to... Missing nuclear official Stephen Garcia becomes the 10th person tied to a dark pattern. But have you heard about NASA's Molly McCullough? Satellites being used to manipulate elections, already been transferred overseas, Iran. Hang on, there's a lot to go through on this one. Oh, okay, here we go. Molly had discovered that satellites were being used to manipulate election results on a national level, is the claim. China, already been transferred overseas. Iran, Italy, China. Molly was helping work on the VOG tech. Results from the states beamed up to satellites that were different than what they received back, and it favored the DNC. Oh, wow. Oh. And you wonder about Maduro and vote counting machines. Was that part of the reason why he was taken into custody? Is he singing like a bird right now? Would they actually spare him his life if he turns on the deep state actors that staged the coup, the treason? Ooh, what a 250th birthday party it would be if people were sentenced guilty of treason. You mean the guy that wrote extensively about payback and about revenge, justice? Because that's been one of our number one frustrations here, is that we're not getting any justice. There's no accountability. Bad people are allowed to be bad people, and we're getting pretty sick of it. Right? Let's look her up. Molly McConnelly. It's a Say Anything song. Molly Connolly. Molly M-A-C. Here, let's look her up. Brief overview. Molly. Disappearance and voting. What's Grok got to say? Prominent American economist and space policy expert from 57 to 16. VP of Research, Resources for the Future, DC think tank, pioneer economic space exploration, science technology, satellite technology, frequently testified before Congress, disappeared. She was taken out in 2016, so this is a while ago. Fatally stabbed multiple times walking her 2 dogs in the upscale Roland Park neighborhood of Baltimore, Maryland. Seemingly random, late at night after she returned home from an Orioles game. Nothing stolen. Dogs unharmed. No signs of a struggle beyond her screams heard by neighbors. Died at the hospital. Case remains unsolved. No weapons recovered. No arrests. There are conspiracy theories claiming she was assassinated for discovering that satellite technology could be or was being. Well, was it could be or was being? I guess it's one and the same. If it could be, you'd have to assume that it could be. Used to manipulate or alter votes in U.S. elections. These claims surfaced 10 years later, notably around 2020, 2021, and recirculated online, alleging she had uncovered vote-changing capabilities via satellites and was about to expose it, especially tied to the 2016 election. Proponents cite her expertise in space economics and satellites as the motive. Key context: allegations appear to originate from unverified online posts and whistleblower-style claims rather than official evidence or contemporary reports. So you file this under fan fiction, and you also say, my lack of evidence doesn't make me wrong, but it's fair to say both. It's accurate to say both. Let's see. Mainstream coverage focused on the unsolved stabbing. No mentions of satellites, elections, or foul play beyond a random attack. Case still open as a cold homicide. Respected space economist murdered in an unsolved 16 Baltimore stabbing. Fringe theories later linked her death to supposed election vote satellite tech she allegedly discovered. No official investigation has supported the voting angle. So just put this one aside. Actually, you know what? Condense all of that into an IG comment saying, per Grok, so I can provide this context in the post. Okay. Well, you shared that. It means you must believe it. No, that's not how life works. We share things and we talk about things together. Well, you didn't put any disclaimer on it. It meant that you endorse it. Are you aware of how the internet works? A share is not an endorsement. A retweet does not equal an endorsement. My God. Well, Trump shared something and there was 2 seconds of a clip at the end of it for Lion King, and it's therefore Trump is so bad. It's so dumb and no discernment. Okay, Panikins. All right, black pillars. Anyway, I'm not seeing a ton here, but it's on my radar now. As those stories mount. And we're saying it's the weirdest conspiracy theory out there. Actually, we did put a little tag on it. Okay, if you haven't watched The View in a while, here's a reminder of why you're not.
Jesus himself did not run around saying, I'm the Messiah. I'm the Messiah.
Jesus kind of did say he was
You're supposed to have a little bit of...
That's exactly what Jesus said. I am the Messiah. You know what?
No, he did not.
It's been a minute. Here's the thing. The Pope's got him. He's got God behind.
She just said, I knew Jesus.
Jesus was not narcissistic like this guy.
And but when you are the Messiah, it's not narcissism to say it.
Yes, it is.
When you are the Messiah.
I'm going to move this along because this is like, it's too much for me.
Yeah, but Jesus.
When Whoopi Goldberg is the voice of reason, you have jumped the shark. Yes, says Grok. Jesus did affirm that he was the Messiah, the Christ, the anointed one, but he did so sparingly and often indirectly during his public ministry. He rarely volunteered the title unprompted, likely because many Jews at the time expected a political and military Messiah who would overthrow Rome, something Jesus did not come to do in that way. To the Samaritan woman at the well, John 4, verse 25 and 26, the woman said, I know that Messiah is coming, he who is called Christ. When he comes, he will explain everything to us. Jesus replied, I who speak to you am he. I mean, this is the best translation we can get. I who speak to you am he. Okay. Thou hast shalt thine oxen. You know, like there has to be clearer writing that we could have used. It is not an easy read, the King James Bible. When Jesus said, I who speak to you am he, this is widely seen as one of the clearest, most explicit statements where Jesus identifies himself as the Messiah. During his trial before the high priest, Mark 14, verse 61 and 62, the high priest asked, are you the Messiah, the Son of the Blessed One? Jesus answered, I am, and added that they would see the Son of Man sitting at the right hand of power and coming with the clouds of heaven. Parallel accounts in Matthew and Luke show similar affirmations such as, you have said so, or you say that I am. I know you are, but what am I? I think there's a higher pitch I need to find in that. Okay. Anyway, if you're not watching The View, you might be missing some of this. Marion, good golly, missing Molly. Indeed. From 20. I guess she's not missing. She's just gone. She was taken out 10 years ago. Whoopi Goldberg, the voice of reason. All right. Well, TNAM preparedness. If you want to know why you need to have a plan to eliminate everybody that you come in contact with, it's because things can happen that quick. Of course, this is a cop talking with somebody, but this is how quick it goes. Watch this and tell me, what plan would you have had? Here, how do we... Here we go.
Keep your hands out of your pocket. You got any weapons or anything?
Nope.
What's going on with them?
I don't know. He drunk, bro. I'm trying to work.
Hold on, man.
Y'all in the mud.
Well, let me figure out what's going on.
Like 40 years old.
You got any weapons? Can I pat you down real quick? Make sure you don't have any weapons. Here. Don't reach for nothing.
That quick, people. That's how quick it happens. If you wonder why cops are on edge sometimes, it's because they know every person they meet could be trying to take them out. No warning, no hesitation, no conversation, says Street Cop Training. I think I should follow this account. Yeah, I'll follow this one. 1 second, it's a routine contact, and the next second, it's a deadly force encounter. It's why blading matters, why hands in pockets matter, why you don't ignore body language, bladed stance, hidden hands, weight shift, target glance. Those aren't random movements. Those are pre-assault indicators. If you can't see hands, you don't control the stop. If you don't control the stop, you're behind the threat curve. Safety protocol isn't paranoia, it's survival. Address the hands immediately. Adjust positioning. Control distance. Don't let ego override tactics. Take the upper hand before someone else does. This job is violent. It turns in milliseconds. Stay switched on. Stay disciplined and go home.
taking off in my car. Shots fired. I'm hit. He's running. He's running down 21st behind the brown house. Start inside.
He's got his tourniquet he's got to use right here. Do you have tools on you? You can get shot. Keep you from bleeding out. Twist and cinch. Stop the blood flow.
Get in it. Get on the brakes. No, I'm hit. Am I hitting the face? No. 17, start in, so I'm hitting the right leg.
The suspect was struck by Officer Sheehan's gunfire and was found wounded a short time later behind a nearby house. Officers rendered medical aid to Wilson, and IMSA transported him to the hospital where he succumbed to his injuries. The suspect's firearm was located at the scene. Officer Sheehan was transported to OU Medical Center where he was treated and released. He has been placed on routine administrative leave.
What's going on? Keep your hands out.
Yeah, one more time just for the beginning.
You got any weapons or anything?
Turns.
What's going on with it?
I don't know. He drunk, bro. I'm trying to walk.
Hold on, man.
Young in the mud.
Well, let me figure out what's going on. I'll get yours. You got any weapons? Can I pat you down real quick? Make sure you don't have any weapons. Here. Don't reach for nothing.
That fast. Comment here from Wake says the people who demanded cops have body cams have been real quiet since they started wearing them. Hey, that's maybe unintended consequences. I'll take it. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I want to know if there's any rogue guys abusing. I don't want to see abuse. I don't want to see it. But man, doesn't it seem like we're really getting behind the scenes looks at just how bad things are sometimes and how stories are lied about and manipulated to push certain perspectives. All right. Now look, I came out not in support of Eric Swalwell, but just to say everyone's innocent unless proven otherwise. I didn't understand why the colleague that was assaulted by him in the past, 5 years later, hits him up and says, let's go binge drinking, and then wakes up in bed with him. That's not to say that the assault didn't happen. It's to say, well, that's one heck of a story. If somebody had abused me, I don't think I would put myself in that position a second time with them. But here's more people coming out. 2 more accusers of Eric Swalwell sharing accusations.
The fact that he has now dropped out of the governor's race and resigned from Congress, is that justice in your view?
No, it's just the beginning. It's just the very beginning. And I know personally that we're not walking away from this fight.
For me, justice won't be until he can't ever harm a woman ever again. And he has faced the consequences for the women that he has harmed.
I think in regards to the governor's race, he never should have ran for governor to begin with, knowing the kind of history and receipts that are out there. So that's a non-starter. And then in terms of Congress, I think he absolutely should have resigned. I think we just prevented another 30 to 40 years potentially of him harming people if he were to stay in Congress.
Yeah.
So in that sense, I think we have served justice for his future victims.
Wow.
That won't exist anymore.
The fact that
Tim Poole says Eric Swalwell is a bad person and he deserves all of this. Live by the sword, Eric. This is from CBS News. Swalwell out. Is Ruben Gallego next? Here's Joe Rogan having a conversation. I'm not sure who he's talking to, but talking about AI hacking our data.
Your search history, delete your bookmarks, delete your Reddit, medical records, 12-year-old Tumblr, delete everything. Every photo on the cloud, every message on every platform, none of it is safe. It will all be public in the next year. Local storage and compute.
Okay.
It's in response to a tweet about
that's
whoa.
That comment.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
It would all become public in the next year. That is crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And this
but
is
it completely makes sense that AI would be able to take over essentially everything.
everything.
Why would your encryption work with that? You don't think it could crack your encryption?
Well,
we could just go right into your computer and go to your keys, your passwords.
This is so to get to what the point you're making.
Delete your search history, delete your book.
Yeah, that's the other thing. They have it already. Here we are. Anyone want to go Amish? Or anyone want to go Newsom? Presidential ambitions question. But the wife keeps speaking.
Mask you live in, and because you say it fast. Yeah, the mask you live in, the masculine, right? That's one way to remember.
That's awesome.
I love that. The mask.
Yeah, I love that too. The mask you live in. The masculine. Okay, lady.
You live in, and because you say it fast. Yeah, the mask you live in, the masculine, right? That's one way to remember.
That's awesome.
I love that. The mask.
What a power couple. Between them, they got a couple of brain cells. Hey, speaking about a couple of brain cells, Kamala Harris.
So are you going to run again in 28?
Oh, you going to run again in 28. Kamala brings out her, yeah, Salon here says new accent unlocked from Kamala.
Okay,
Tried to be subtle, but I just figured I'd go right
well,
at
that's as subtle as Reverend Al Sharpton could ever be. We love you for many things, but not being subtle. Listen, I might. I'm thinking about it.
Pass the SAVE Act. There's no universe where Kamala Harris could be thinking about it if the system wasn't completely rigged. She should get the Mondale treatment. Shouldn't have won a state. What, one state? Was it Minnesota that went to Mondale? Kamala, without fake voting, deserves the Mondale results. Let her cook. Could you imagine Kamala running for president? Oh, and the internet's having a lot of fun with Trump saying, I thought it was a doctor. It's like, no doctor looks, come on, that's very Christ-like. You thought there was a doctor? It's clearly a religious thing. And also just to own up to it. Like when the president talked about, they said, I talked about disinfectants. There were studies about swallowing with light-emitting diodes. They're LEDs, they call them. A lot of people say you can, sunlight, they say it all the time. It's one of the most commonly used phrases. Sunlight is the best disinfectant. I never said drink bleach. That's a hoax. Fake news, lying legacy media hoax. I said disinfectant. Sunlight is the best disinfectant. When he was confronted about that, he said, I was kidding. He said, I was being sarcastic. Don't say you were being sarcastic. Say, our team has discussed 1,000 different potentialities. That was one of 1,000 potentialities as we try to figure out the best method to treat COVID-19. Don't say you're being sarcastic, because you weren't. President Trump shared the meme. I thought I was a doctor. I mean, but in the picture, there is a sick man in a hospital gurney, a bed, and there's a nurse with the nurse hat and the nurse stethoscope to the right of that patient. It is a hospital scene. It is somebody praying for divine help to lay healing hands on the ill. But this is some AI reply.
I did post it, and I thought it was me as a doctor, and had to do with Red Cross as a Red Cross worker there, which we support, and only the fake news could come up with that one. So I just heard about it, and I said, how did they come up with that? It's supposed to be me as a doctor making people better, and I do make people better. I make people a lot better. I did.
Are you the most offended you've ever been? Are you out on Trump? You can't believe that, or is it just whatever? A whole bunch of nothing. That was the last straw. Trump blaspheming against Jesus Christ means we should all withdraw our support for President Trump. Agree or disagree? I'm going to disagree. But he did take it down. Apparently, a lot of people didn't. They didn't understand the joke. I'm fighting the Pope. Pope is woke. They call him the woke Pope. I don't say it's a tragedy what people say. They call him the woke Pope. Pretty mean. They say he's a Pope, but he's woke. Anyway. The whole thing is a little silly. When I see Charlie Kirk, I share Charlie Kirk because he was silenced. Are we selectively sharing certain clips? Well, you can't share everything. You can't consume everything. So here's one.
I'm going to continue to ask the question. A 20-hour response in a country the size of New Jersey.
20-hour response in a country the size of New Jersey. That begs a big explanation. And more importantly, America is significantly underwriting the Israeli government $4 billion a year, as American taxpayers deserve answers to this. And if we're going to get into a regional or world war based on an intelligence failure. So, I mean, we pay for this, what we're buying right now. I got smeared as a Jew hater, an anti-Semite, a conspiracy theorist, says Charlie Kirk, because I said exactly what I just said. And I refuse to back down despite all the smears thrown at me. Because I learned during COVID, I learned when they told us that it came from a bat in the Himalayas. I learned when they told us the vaccine was safe and effective. I learned when they told us ivermectin was horse paste, that you better keep asking questions because it's the only thing that keeps us free. Thank you so much. I'll share the chart. I'll follow the Charlie Kirk page. Tyler Fisher reminds us that the first person on the planet who would challenge the narrative on the Charlie Kirk murder would be Charlie Kirk. Lake Leon chimes in, Dr. Trump has my vote. Yeah, I know. It's turned into like, it needs to be a Halloween costume. You're way too early Halloween costume. I will vote for Trump every single time Dr. Trump has my vote. He's the one they call Dr. Don Trump. He's the one that makes it feel all right. Tyler Fisher. The first person on the planet who would challenge the narrative on the Charlie Kirk murder would be Charlie Kirk. That's fair. Charlie's predictions about Iran.
Does have a conventional military.
Iran does have a conventional military. They are a proud and big country. The worst possible case scenario is Iran says, okay, you humiliated us. You killed all our leaders. We're going to go make this a regional mess and try to get as many people involved as possible. They're going to go after Americans. They're going to go after Saudis. They're going to go after everybody imaginable just to create a big mess and to try to draw the world into it. Just understand the Iranian people are widely respected and not necessarily always in sync with leadership. But if and when the people of Iran feel like Persia is being defaced and humiliated and disrespected, we don't know where that's going to go. And that's my final reason why I am always skeptical of military intervention. And when a lot of the sometimes warmongering wing gets too excited, you don't know, actually. You need to have a lot of humility. You do not know how things are going to work out. It is impossible. And that's where I say to my libertarian friends, or to Charlie Kirk there, of course, it is reminds me, if you want me on that wall, you need me on that wall. It is easy to bash the police officer for 2 milliseconds later than you deemed was appropriate. But you haven't put yourself in that situation. You're not cutting a little bit of slack. That's unfair. I think that's unfair. And it's an easy position to take, that never do anything with military anywhere. It's easy. Who could be against that? Except that's not the job of the military. The military's job is to do military things. And some people say that's going to be the only way to save this nation, with all the rogue judges that have been poured into concrete or along the foundation of this rotten building. The foundation is rotten to the core. It's a house of cards. Was it our fight that we needed to get involved with? Maybe so, maybe not. Was it on my bingo card? No. I mean, they've been making the case after, we've gone into it. I don't need to keep going, but while it's easy and respectable to take the always anti-war position, it's not realistic. And it's a bit of a cop-out if you can never see the benefit of it. But, like I said, I see Charlie, I share Charlie. And this is what he said about the Epstein files release.
On the release of the Epstein files, what do you think is actually going on?
Well, I think they got to make this right. We as the American people deserve to have every Epstein file released.
Have we had every Epstein file released? I mean, have we been told that? Where are we at on it? At the latest, it was, for a while there, it was every week, it was every month.
No redactions whatsoever, period. Right. They got to make it right. And we, the American people, ran on transparency. We deserve to see the entire client list. Yeah. Every document the government has regarding the Epstein files, we, the American people, should have on an easy-to-access website.
I mean, stuff was put up, then stuff was taken down.
Immediately, in a very, very quick fashion. I'm pushing for that both privately and publicly, just so you know.
Trying to make that happen. I mean, where are we? That story's sort of out of the news.
Secondly, there probably are a lot of destroyed documents.
And yeah, there's a ton of destroyed documents. And was Pam Bondi just put there to wash it under the rug? Is Trump guilty of something? I haven't seen anything that proves Trump guilty of anything, no. But it sure feels like a cover-up. Yeah, I can identify that. Also, Trump's the only administration that held Epstein to account. And this information is out. It's coming out. It's slowly coming out. And it's still weird. Polymarket says, just in, multiple Congress people expected to resign this week, or they're projected to resign, as TMZ opens a D.C. office to expose scandals. From Parks and Rec, it's beautiful. I've looked at this for 5 hours now. Oh, there's a good comment. TMZ, the same one listed in the Epstein list. The same TMZ whose founder was buddy-buddy with Big Jeff. TMZ is going to take hits on non-backers of the Israeli war machine. When TMZ is doing the job the media should be doing. Yeah. So Doge can't shut things down, but TMZ can. What a world. All right, stay tuned. Ruben Gallego maybe next. Jack Unheard shared this nice video here.
A little boy was alone in the dark, wandering a busy and dicey Miami street.
Dicey, Miami Street. Where's the audio? Where'd the audio go? I don't get what's happening. The child was wandering alone for 12 hours after police say his mother abandoned him. Arnett Johnson.
A little boy was.
Okay, that's a weird story. Spotted the boy at night alone in the middle of Miami's crime-ridden streets. Looking around for the parent. I don't see nobody. What's this kid doing out here? Johnson called police and stayed with the child until officers arrived. Mother is now charged with child neglect. Officer said it best, we don't know what could have happened to this child if he remained out in the streets. All right. What city? Miami, sorry. All right. Shame on the mom. What the heck? I hear you. Yeah, Lake Leon. It's still on Pam's desk, and she took the desk with her. And we're not going to re-abuse these women by releasing these files. Also, there are no files. And scene. That's my Kash Patel impression. You got to look at it to fully appreciate it. But yes, speaking of this scrunched up face. This scrunched up face of mine. It's a face that Jonah Hill makes. Point of view when you're in the middle of defending Trump, and then he posts a picture of himself as Jesus. Really? So there's that. All right. That is what I wanted to share with you from our Instagram page. So make sure you're following The New American Media on Instagram. The New American Media. Hit the thumbs up button, hit like, hit subscribe, share the show with a friend. Consider becoming a supporter of The New American Media on Patreon, YouTube, Rumble on a monthly basis. Just set it and forget it. And you can drop Rumble rant tips and Super Chat tips on Rumble and YouTube, respectively. We love those. Tips through Cash App and Venmo are my name, Brian Engelman, scrolling at the bottom of the screen, BrianEngelman. And then, what was the other one? PayPal, fuzzinstallment@yahoo.com. All right, let's go through X. Of course, this is our Patreon link right here on the page. Click it and sign up to become a monthly member. And this is that story about Pope Leo going to a mosque. Why are we doing this?
هو قداسة البابا ليون يوقع ويسجل بخط يده.
All right. Keep your eyes peeled. CNN trying to spin the Eric Swalwell departure.
We have breaking news. Congressman Eric Swalwell has just announced that he is resigning from Congress. Let's go right to CNN's Mana Raja on Capitol Hill. Mana, what are you learning?
Yeah, this is happening very rapidly. Just moments ago, Eric Swalwell posting on X that he plans to resign his seat that he is occupying, representing the Northern California district, and saying so in the aftermath of these very serious allegations of sexual misconduct, including an allegation of rape. He has denied these allegations, but indicating in this statement that all of this was too much of a distraction, he said, to his constituents, which is why he plans to give up his seat in Congress. Now, this statement I'll read to you, Anderson, says, I am deeply sorry to my family, staff, and constituents for mistakes and judgment I've made in my past. I will fight this serious false allegation made against me. However, I must take responsibility and ownership for the mistakes I did make. I am aware of efforts to bring an immediate expulsion vote against me and other members. Expelling anyone in Congress without due process within days of an allegation being made is wrong, he said, but it's also wrong for my constituents to have me distracted from my duties. Therefore, I plan to resign my seat in Congress. He goes on to say he'll work to ensure a smooth transition, but this is a dramatic downfall, Anderson. Swalwell was a frontrunner, a Democratic frontrunner for the party's nomination to be the next governor of California, battling out with several other Democrats in that race. But in the aftermath of all these allegations, he saw his support completely collapse. One backer after another withdrawing their support, calling on him to withdraw from his race for California governor.
Yeah. Couldn't happen to a worse dude. His involvement with suspected Chinese spy Fang Fang. Of course, everything with, what do you want to call it? Insurrection Gate. Unforgivable national security breach with the Chinese spy. Grok is giving me a list of things, multiple misconduct and our allegations. Alleged mortgage fraud, 2012, sedition comment on military disobedience. He said veteran service members should disobey unlawful orders and prioritize their constitutional oath. Veterans and conservatives called it incitement. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff on Swalwell. Happy to see him go. President Trump on the Federal Reserve. Why is this still a thing?
You want Jay Powell out of the way. Isn't it the easiest way to get him out of the way to end the probe?
Does that mean we stop a probe of a building that I would have done for $25 million that's going to cost maybe $4 billion? Don't you think we have to find out what happened there? You know, we have other jobs like that, like the railroad in California, where it's, 25 times more than it was originally going to cost. And I think they're going to end up abandoning it. Okay, that's Gavin Newsom, or as I call him, Gavin Newsom, who's so bad. But that's the one. But I think the Federal Reserve building is just as bad. And so whether it's incompetence, corruption, or both, I think you have to find out. I really do. I think you have to find out.
So you're not going to drop the probe?
No, I'm not playing. I have to find out.
And he said he's not leaving if,
Well, then I'll have to fire him, okay? If he's not leaving on time, I've held back firing him. I've wanted to fire him, but I hate to be controversial, I want to be uncontroversial.
I want to be uncontroversial. Me fail English? That's impossible. Incontrovertible? Uncontroversial?
You want Jay Powell.
How about we get 1% interest rates? Let's all just modify our loans into 1% interest rates. Put hundreds of dollars back in our pockets every month. Do something that's going to help us. Walter Kurt says it's April 15th, tax day. Now, out of curiosity, do I send this to the IRS or address it directly to Somalia? Just curious if I can cut out the middleman this year. It's one thing I've heard so many people talk about this. Maybe a conversation between Adam Carolla and Bill Maher, perhaps. It's one thing to pay some taxes, and you go, okay. Put a little bit in for a little bit of, all right, I got it. But it's another to just watch it get money laundered, stolen, and used against us. That's like unforgivable stuff. Hello, Dina. Welcome to the show. Everybody hit like, hit subscribe, hit the share function, the thumbs up. Is it noon? It's noon somewhere. We are East Coast time, so we go live at noon. Well, I guess 1:30, closer to 1:30 today. I'm going to try to get back on track at the noon for noon's sake. What I need to do is start doing the show, setting it up a little bit earlier. But I'm scanning for stories 22 hours a day, 21 hours a day when I'm not doing the show. And then I just want it all to pile up. And then right before it's time to launch, it's like, all right, what's the main topic today? Well, that could change 5 times in the course of a day, depending on what stories come through. So I don't usually like to set it up and know what my stories are going to be until it's like Game time. I'll tell you based on the weather. Well, what's the weather going to be? I'll tell you when I get there. I don't know. But yes, noon Eastern. Indeed. The White House says it's tax season and Americans are saving more than ever. Members across the country are talking about working families' tax cuts, delivering more wealth back to the pockets of the hardworking American people. And they have a thread trying to give you some positivity there. Jack Posobiec tells us, unfortunately, this is a real photograph. Omaha police. Look at this. How do you prepare yourself to avoid this? The story's below, so let me get to it in a moment. But this crazy lady stabbed this kid. Dustin shared this post from Elon, and I feel the same way. In the age of information, ignorance is a choice. What are colleges even here for? What are we doing?
You don't need college to learn stuff, okay? Everything is available basically for free. You can learn anything you want for free. It is not a question of learning.
And by the way, why don't we have an American university? USA, University of USA, UUSA, WUSA. Online courses. We're gonna get you trained up. Anybody, why can't we just take free courses and get prepared for another career, job placement, etc.?
There is a value that colleges have, which is like, seeing whether can somebody work hard at something, including a bunch of sort of annoying homework assignments, and still do their homework assignments and kind of soldier through and get it done.
Yeah, I've said that college is basically proving that you have the capability of jumping through hoops. That's sort of all that college does, is can you stay focused for 4 years with all the distractions imaginable?
That's like the main value of college. And then also, if you probably want to hang around with a bunch of people your own age for a while instead of going right into the workforce. So I think colleges are basically for fun and to prove you can do your chores, but they're not for learning.
Do your chores.
But there is a requirement of evidence of exceptional ability. Like, you just can't, if you're trying to do something exceptional, they must have evidence of exceptional ability. I don't consider going to college evidence of exceptional ability. In fact, ideally you dropped out and did something. I mean, obviously, we look at Gates is a pretty smart guy, he dropped out. Jobs, pretty smart, he dropped out. Larry Ellison, smart guy, he dropped out. Obviously not needed.
And to take on the insane level of debt attached with it doesn't make any sense. So I agree with that. Let's check in on how well California is doing right now. Oh, it's a disaster. This is what I fled, people.
Home building giant KB Home is the latest billion-dollar corporation to exit California. KB Home announcing plans to move its global headquarters from Los Angeles to Tempe, Arizona next spring. The move is aimed at lowering operational costs, with their CEO highlighting the Phoenix Metro's business-friendly climate.
Yep. You want business? Create a business-friendly climate. You want people to leave? Push them out.
And lower cost of living as pivotal factors. They join other corporations like Public Storage, Realtor.com, and Yamaha, who are all left seeking relief from California's high taxes and regulatory hurdles.
Leaving California might be a sad story for some, but for those who actually pull the trigger, the financial payoff is actually pretty massive. So according to a decade-long study from UC Berkeley, people who moved out of state saved an average of $671 every single month on housing and were nearly 50% more likely to own a home within a few years. And it's not just lower-income residents on their way out, but also wealthier folks from places like the Bay Area who are headed to more affordable spots like Arizona Arizona or Texas. The data shows that those leaving often have twice as much student debt as their neighbors who stay, suggesting that for many, moving isn't just a choice, it's the only way to finally stop keeping up with the Joneses and to actually afford a life.
California cannot continue with what they've been doing. They've killed the goose that laid the golden egg with the entertainment industry. They've bastardized and perverted it. Maybe it's always been a propaganda arm of the deep state, but it's never been as bad as it is right now, it seems. And then rising costs, trying to squeeze every last dollar out of people, has pushed all the production to Vancouver, Atlanta, Cleveland. Throw darts on a map. People have left Los Angeles, California, because they've made it too difficult to do business. They've tried to take too much of your money, so they've left. That's how things are. That's why Democrat policies never make a place better. All right, Abigail Spanberger in Virginia and others are talking about guns and the Second Amendment. So here's your primer: TNAM self-defense, TNAM preparedness, TNAM Second Amendment watch. Redbeard says the Second Amendment was written in the blood of men who had just bled and died to overthrow a government that tried to disarm them. They placed it second only to speech because they knew the brutal truth. Without the right to keep and bear arms, every other freedom is just a temporary privilege that can be revoked the moment that those in power decide it's inconvenient. In 2026, some call it outdated. They are not just wrong, they are blind to history and blind to what is unfolding before our eyes. The threats have evolved, but the pattern never changes. Tyrants always disarm the people before they crush their liberties. Today, they do it with lawfare that bankrupts manufacturers, incremental bans that turn training tools into felonies, and courts that quietly treat the Second Amendment as a second-class right while criminals operate with impunity. If the Second Amendment falls, the ramifications will be catastrophic and irreversible. Every other right, speech, assembly, religion, due process will become conditional at best, extinct at worst. Law-abiding citizens will be left utterly defenseless against surging violence in soft targets and against a government with no meaningful check on its power. History is littered with the graves of disarmed populations. Once the guns are gone, tyranny fills the vacuum without resistance. Our children will inherit a nation where liberty is a memory, not a birthright. This is not an exaggeration. It is the clear, repeating lesson of human history. This is why we train without apology. This is why we carry daily. That is why we fight every single infringement with everything we have. The Second Amendment is not about muskets or hunting. It's about the final firewall that keeps power where it belongs with we the people. If we let this line fall, we do not lose one right. We surrender the republic itself. We cannot let this happen. Stay dangerous. Stay good. Pretty good post, pretty good reminder. You don't give a single inch with our Second Amendment. Let's check in on Joe Biden. Nick Sorter put this out. Joe Biden on stage, just as always. Former resident Biden visits Syracuse University for a portrait unveiling. Enjoy.
I want to turn around to one guy and say, Barack, what are you doing? Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. I feel like he should be standing on the right and I should be standing on the left. Hey, did you just look at Barack? Anyway, as they say, you've done good, fella.
Well, you know, I tried.
To be fair, it is a tall, skinny, light-skinned black man in a suit. What I'm not saying he looks like him, but I'm saying, I mean, now look, Joe, look, just because I'm up here and I'm smiling, and you know what? Look, if you want to zoom in on the tie. Look, it's a little crooked, kind of like Crooked Joe. I once told Joe, you don't need to say that this is a big fucking deal. When we passed the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, as some of you call it. Joe's one of a kind. But look, just because I got a big toothy grin, look at that smile. Look at that mug. We don't all look the same. But to be fair, what your host Brian was kind of thinking there, a little bit more like Nick Sorter at first. He said Joe Biden just pulled some random black guy out of the crowd at Syracuse and declared he looked like Barack Obama. Barack, what are you doing? Come here, Barack. That Nick Sorter says all blacks are the same to old Joe. But look, if I'm going to be honest, that's a tall drink of water right there. In a suit, off to the side. I'm kind of used to that. So, far be it from me. But I'm going to give him a pass. I'm going to give him a pass on that one. Nimbus was just over here. Dino was asking about the cat. Thank you for snapping me out of Obama voice. He was just over here, but then I ran and got him some food because I think he was looking for a second lunch, third breakfast. Tara Bull shares this video. Here's another massive fire burning in Compton.
It's burning inside this structure quite yet. It comes back at 2420 North Alameda in Compton. Compton Fire, LA County firefighters really just trying to assess what they have right now and see if they can get around this. As you can tell, there's going to be some access issues, and this is really starting to take off. I want to open up.
Look, Dina Rona, kind of like the Corona. Not the beer. I'm talking about the China virus. China. Yeah, Joe did kind of just, saw a guy off on the side of the stage and said, come on up. Yeah, come on up here. Doesn't he look like Barack? I don't know. Maybe Joe's lost it. Maybe we all look the same to him. But look, what's not the same is the SAVE Act. You got to vote against that because we got to cheat. We got to crank out as many ballots as we can and just mail them out haphazardly. And make sure that the big blue cities come through for us again. Joe thinking it was Obama. Anyway, Terrible is saying it's like the 10th warehouse fire in the past week alone. What's going on?
Just real quick and give you a live shot of this, or a wide shot, I should say.
Don't these places need to have sprinkler systems?
Going straight up in the air, into the atmosphere. That is great news because we don't know what's burning. We don't know if there might be chemicals inside this structure. You just don't.
Yeah. Anyway, eyes on the warehouse fires that seem to be in the news every single time I check the news these days. So here's the claim. What's happening in this video?
بعثوا من منارته الشامخة رسائل السلام والتعايش.
Gonna be a bunch of that. Liz Churchill says Pope Leo just signs the Golden Book inside Algeria's Great Mosque, openly forging the Vatican Islam super alliance Pope Francis started. Muslims will be the army of the revived Roman Empire that Daniel warned about, says Liz Churchill. Have you heard that claim? Muslims will be the army of the renewed Roman Empire that Daniel warned us about. Good point, Dina. U.S. is becoming fires are us. Too many. Yeah, California, Maui. Whole bunch. Omaha Walmart horror. 31-year-old. Well, let's just listen to this awful story. This child was hurt. I don't care about the person who's taken out here. I care about the kid. But let's just listen to the report on this awful, awful, awful story, how quickly things can change.
At 9:20, the first officers arrive on call to investigate the nature of this incident. They encountered a female outside the Walmart at this location. She was holding a knife to a 3-year-old child that was in a shopping cart. The officers gave the suspect commands. At what time there is video that shows the suspect swiping the knife at the child, cutting him across the face. Officers at that time, at least one officer fired their weapon, and the suspect is deceased at this scene. When she was approached by the suspect produced a large knife inside the store and took possession of the child, essentially kidnapping the child.
What in the world?
Gave commands to the caretaker of the child to walk in front of the shopping cart, and the suspect followed with the child, with a knife to the child, followed the caretaker out of the store. They proceeded down the driveway here, and there was some verbal back and forth, it appears, between the caretaker and the suspect for several minutes until officers arrived, and then that's when the officers arrived and the shots were fired. It does appear the child's going to survive at this point. Like I said, being treated at the hospital at 9.
How do you even explain that to a kid? About what happened and slashed his face when cops arrived. Abducted a 3-year-old boy. She refused and cut the child. They opened fire, killing her on the spot. Little Kyler, Cyler, out of surgery, expected to survive. Heroes in Blue saved his life. Kaneko the Great says it's fascinating to see what social media reveals about a person before they become the Pope. By the way, about the fires, I asked Grok how many fires happened at food manufacturing companies and chicken farms during the COVID era. So they don't have an official centralized count. 90 to 100 incidents between 21 and 22. Meat and poultry plants, poultry barns, plane crashes, disease-related calls, all sorts of stuff. Yeah, I remember that. That was all through the news, like they were trying to starve us out. Anyway, Kaneko the Great. I was reading the Dina comment there. Kaneko the Great says, before he became Pope Leo, Cardinal Robert Prevost was on Twitter trashing Trump, criticizing Vance, calling for open borders, promoting COVID vaccines, endorsing stricter gun controls, and tweeting after George Floyd. We need to hear more from leaders in the church to reject racism and seek justice. The account was deleted the day he was elected. So this is the Pope that President Trump's not supposed to criticize? Cardinal Dolan, why Donald Trump's anti-immigrant rhetoric is so problematic. Here's Robert Prevost reposting. There's nothing remotely Christian, American, or morally defensible about a policy that, it takes children away from their parents and warehouses them in cages. Every arrested person has their children taken out of custody, into custody. And Obama built the cages. This is such a stupid trope. You can almost assure yourself that if you read this garbage, this drivel, you're pretty much good to go that you're dealing with a non-playable character. This is being carried out in our name, and the shame is on all of us. Okay. Pope says J.D. Vance is wrong. Jesus doesn't ask us to rank our love for others. Sign the Catholic climate petition. Oh, geez. And on that scam. Yeah, global climate always changes, and the people trying to steal as much money as possible are going to push a green new scam and some sort of sky is falling scenario every day, aren't they? That's the Pope. Check this one out. Sean Hannity here having a conversation. Talking about Hillary and accountability.
Let me go back to the beginning, and then you're going to fill in the gaps. Sure. So Hillary Clinton, top secret classified information on servers. Okay. And by the way, can you answer this question before I go any further?
Sure.
My understanding, my sources, which are nowhere deep and certain as yours, tell me that those servers, copies of them exist and that we may have them. Any truth to that?
Yeah, they're looking at a foreign power that may have, because it was looking at a hacker back in the time when Hillary had the server, may have recovered a large part of the evidence. Now, they're still validating them, so we don't know if that's real evidence or not. Whenever you get something from a foreign power, it's a tricky thing to validate. Yeah. But that is one of the operations that are ongoing in the intelligence community right now. Whether they'll ultimately validate it, what they're looking for are the emails that were erased.
You mean wiped, like with a cloth?
A lot of those are believed to potentially be about the Clinton Foundation, maybe not about classified information, but about the grift that was going on there. And if those do get recovered, they could contribute to an ongoing criminal investigation about pay-to-play politics in the Obama era.
More so than that, what about Uranium One? You've seen President Trump, I believe Pete Hegseth, maybe Rubio, a couple people have been asked now about the Iranian nuclear facilities and that we're going to go retrieve the dust. We're going to take all the stuff out of there and filter it and sort through it and deal with it. I believe that these nuclear products have signatures based on a variety of things, the components and how they're made, and that they give off unique signatures. Could it be proven that the Uranium One deal supplied Iran with enough to make legitimate nuclear bombs that could have, would have, should have been used? Well, could have, would have been used. We shall see. Greg says this on tax day. IRS, you owe us taxes. Me, how much do I owe? IRS, you get to figure that out. Me, can I just pay what I want? IRS, no, we know exactly how much you owe, but you have to guess the number too. Me, what if I guess wrong? IRS, jail. Happy tax day. Hey, remember when Eric Swalwell told Kristi Noem and Tom Homan this?
And Kristi Noem and Tom Homan, you should familiarize yourself with the...
You blew your soundbite line here.
And Kristi Noem and Tom Homan, you should familiarize yourself with the four corners of this room. Kristi Noem and Tom Homan, get to know that witness chair. You're going to be parked in it for a long time. You're going to have a lot of questions under oath with the subpoena power. And I hope what you're doing is clean and can withstand the scrutiny that everyone on this side of the aisle is going to bring. You think we won't do it. You think you're invincible. You're wrong. Accountability is coming. You've got about a year, and I yield back.
Okay, Swalwell. Maybe you need to familiarize yourself with it. So Micah says Virginia joins the National Popular Vote Interstate Compact, bringing America one step closer to a national popular vote for president. The fuck even is this? These are all these Democrat hellholes. New York, Illinois, Virginia, Minnesota, Washington, Oregon, California, Colorado, New Mexico, Hawaii. This is crazy. This is not legal. Like this should be stricken down. Isaiah asks, someone please explain to me, how does this not result in another civil war in this country exactly? How is this not the foundation of a second confederacy by the exact same party who started the first war between the states? Now these questions need to be answered and asked right now. A National Popular Vote Interstate Compact is a blatant subversion of the Constitution. It is the final fantasy, yes, I did use that intentionally, of a spoiled, affluent, urban, white professional managerial class, a last-ditch effort to rule over the rest of the country by force and nullifying the votes of conservatives within the states of the compact. How does this shit happen on the watch of Republicans in these states within this bullshit compact unless they're making containment deals to keep the worst of the communism Democrats will bring within the urban centers? Why were these bills never put to a referendum vote? So many questions. That's why you vote against Democrats. And how about let's stop the circular fire? Let's check in on Texas with this disabled man.
They kicked him all in his head and all in his gut. They literally took the bottom half of his pants down and ripped him apart.
Video of the attack.
Oh, come on. Did we have to hear the ceiling bird? Oh, man. I'm playing this for sympathy of the guy who was attacked by a group of teens. But then you heard the chirp.
The bottom half of his pants down and ripped him apart.
Video of the attack turned over to police 4 days later. Today, they announced they'd identified all 6 of Williams' attackers, juveniles, ages 12 to 14.
I do that to him. I said that to him.
Just cried out as blow after blow landed on his head and stomach.
I felt so sorry. I was sorry with myself as well because I wasn't there to protect him when he needed me most.
Tonight, 4 of those suspects are in juvenile detention. The other 2 are released back to their parents. They're being charged with aggravated robbery and engaging in criminal activity. In Warden, Luke Jones, ABC 13, Eyewitness News.
So yeah, just keep track of people. Keep track of your kids. Keep track of the delinquents. Keep track of your most at-risk groups. You're disabled and whatnot. Yeah, Dina says Democrats believe in mob rule, popular vote. The coasts would elect the president. Exactly, which is why we don't do it that way. Which is exactly the Democrat strategy, which is why you got to block it. So here's a heavily abridged quote. Well, here, let's listen to this clip about defending our country.
But just because the industry, the weapons industry, impressively markets their products and
because the weapons industry.
The weapons industry impressively markets their products and exploits intense fears,
Exploits intense fears. Exploits what?
Many smart people that they need or should desire these exceptionally dangerous weapons that are designed to kill human beings as quickly as it. Thank you. This is it. As efficiently as possible. It doesn't mean we shouldn't continue to thoughtfully consider the limits on possession as we envision how we live together. Thank you for continuing the conversation.
Any questions for the witness?
But
never put it past an affluent white liberal fanatic liberal, female liberal, awfuls we call them, affluent white female leftist, female liberal. National Association for Gun Rights makes her quote heavily abridged, but it cuts to the point. The gun industry markets that people need these weapons to defend themselves, and that's crazy. Anyway, turn over your AR-15s or else the government will show up to your house and seize it by force. You got that? And they're trying to make it easy to sue firearms companies. That's madness. Elon Musk reminds us, and Mario Knopfel put this out here. God, everybody's tagging everybody. Gunther Eagleman said, calls to kill the Boer, kill the farmer are still happening in South Africa, and ignoring the brutal farm attacks is straight up tragic. As with many things, the far left chooses to look the other way on these crimes.
Shoot to kill, kill a man. Shoot to kill.
What are you up against? Elon says they're calling for the genocide of whites. Just be aware that that's out there. When you wonder why 3-year-old kids are getting stabbed in parking lots, you just wonder the propaganda campaign to demonize an entire group of people. Far different from when the Pope says it's so wrong. It's just the the rhetoric and the hateful this or that about immigration. It's like, no. You don't just get to waltz into somebody's house. You knock at the door, and there's a process. You have no obligation to let everybody in, and you certainly need to screen out the crazies. That's common sense. Svetlana Lakova says the Todd Blanche Department of Justice achievements so far, since he's the one who has been running things for over a year, she says, let Comey off the hook, let Schiff off the hook, let Swalwell off the hook, let the seditious 6 members off the hook, let Mueller die, not in prison, Obama, Brennan, Clapper, Hillary, Soros, and the whole gang feel totally safe. Lindsey Halligan has been fed to the wolves. Ed Martin has been sidelined. No one jailed, no one held to account. Well, that's disturbing. Here's Todd Blanche.
Everybody's afraid that the next administration, if we don't win, we're going to all be investigated and indicted. Think about that. This is not a third world country. This is America. And the existing administration is afraid that they're going to get indicted. And why are they afraid? Because that's exactly what happened during the last administration. All of President Trump's cabinet, everybody that worked in the White House, his Secret Service detail had to go to the grand jury. Everybody's afraid that the...
Svetlana says, well, don't be afraid. Lock up the criminals, then they won't be able to come after you. This isn't rocket science. Dina says founding fathers knew about mob rule and designed an appropriate and representative way for citizens to elect a president. Exactly. The McCullough Foundation. This is Dr. Peter McCullough. There's no doubt about it. People develop chronic Lyme disease. It's not just a rash and a round of antibiotics. Borrelia burgdorferi is unlike other tick-borne infections and installs antigens that trigger chronic illness long after the initial bite, joint inflammation, neurological damage, heart block requiring a pacemaker. The medical community spent years denying post-Lyme syndrome existed. They finally caught up. But for millions, the damage was already done. Early treatment is everything. If you've had a tick bite, don't wait. Well, crap. This Liz Churchill asked Dr. Drew clip with Dr. Kelly, Victory, talking about ivermectin and chemo and 84% positive outcomes, stuff to look into. Maybe, maybe not. Go to cdc.gov, who.int, and cisa.gov/rumor control to get countervailing views on the elections of 2020 and with anything regarding COVID or other health-related issues, right? So what's this clip here? Ticks everywhere. Stern Drew talks about the tick apocalypse. Bioengineered Lyme was released to enslave America. Just remember this cold hard truth they desperately hope you never connect. They intentionally released the bioengineered ticks carrying Lyme disease. This is a claim. This is fan fiction. I'm not saying this happened, but this is the claim you read everywhere, many places. They intentionally released, whoever they are, they intentionally released bioengineered ticks carrying Lyme disease so you could never enjoy the outside or hunt your own deer meat. The U.S. government deliberately unleashed this plague on its own citizens to make you more compliant, more dependent, and easier to rule. Think about it. Lyme exploded across the heartland right as patriotic Americans were rediscovering real freedom, getting off the grid, hunting wild game, raising families in nature, rejecting their toxic process system. Suddenly, the forests became forbidden zones. Hiking, too risky. Camping with your kids, dangerous. Harvesting your own clean venison, forget it. They turned God's green earth into a biological trap so you could stay locked indoors, glued to screens, pumping their pharmaceuticals and begging for government protection. This was psychological warfare disguised as an insect bite. They hate strong, self-reliant Americans who don't need their doctors, their drugs, or their permission slips. They hate hunters, preppers, and anyone who can live free without the system. Lyme was the perfect invisible chain, chronic, debilitating, and blamed on nature, while the real architects in deep state labs toasted their success. They want you weak, isolated, and terrified of the outdoors. They want you compliant slaves who never question the agenda, rise above the bioengineered prison, get outside anyway, hunt away, reclaim your birthright to nature and freedom, build your body back stronger. The resistance begins the moment you refuse to live in fear of their ticks. They did this to you on purpose, and never forget. Man. Speaking of blood-sucking leeches, here's Ruben Gallego. Eric Matheny says this video could be shown in medical schools to demonstrate the body's physical response to panic. Senator Ruben Gallego, Democrat, Arizona, discussing Representative Eric Swalwell.
It was flirty. That was flirty.
And that was when? About what year was it?
I mean, that was we've heard that throughout.
Senator, you just said thank you so much. I want to clarify because in the beginning,
we'll go back there.
In the beginning, you said when you first heard these rumors a few weeks ago, that's when you called him. Then you said you've heard these rumors for years.
This looks like it's sped up. It's so animated.
So which one is it, Senator?
So I heard rumors of him being flirty.
And that wasn't an issue enough for you to not trust him to watch your kids or be close with him?
Because, you hear this, and then when you're close to somebody and you know his wife, you see this. You see that relationship. You know that, it maybe just isn't true.
Have you asked him about it prior to this few weeks?
I asked him about it a few weeks ago when it started coming up online.
Yes.
Why, when you
yes.
ask him about it, if you're running his campaign, sir?
He looks very out of sorts. He might be the next to fall. Ruben Gallego and the rest of Arizona appears to be one of the most heavily debated areas of potential malfeasance in our voting process.
I don't know what's going on with his family, but it's definitely a horrible situation for family. They're using that as a cover to attack me right now because they can't do it. They couldn't take back 2024 because they ran a horrible race. But now this is what they want to do. They just want to hurt me as much as they can. Presidents, everything else like that, I don't care. We're going to wait, and that's not even a thing right now. The most important thing is I want to protect my family. I want to protect my family's reputation. And this is why we're talking about right now.
Senator, you've gone on trips, on vacations, officially, unofficially. You've gone out, presumably, with the congressman. You've never even witnessed him, I don't know, engaging in an affair?
No.
Never.
What about
No.
How do you explain some of the photos, though, online? I know you addressed one, but there is another one.
I mean, he's reeling like he's literally getting hit with punches. This is fascinating to watch him wrestle with his cover story.
Both of you without shirts. I mean, how do you address some of those compromising photos?
We were on a beach.
Yeah, I think you were in the desert and on some camels.
It was a beach and a camel, but it's a beach. Yeah.
What were the
rumors? It was flirty. That was flirty.
And that was when? About what year was it?
I mean, that was through. We've heard that. We've heard that throughout.
All right. Former Ruben Gallego staffer, according to Publius, says she rejected his sexual advance, reported it to the chief of staff, and was fired in retaliation. She's expected to fully expose Ruben Gallego very soon. Congress whispered about this for years now. It's exploding just as his buddy Swalwell implodes. When will Gallego resign? George Santos, who was removed from Congress, says a former staffer of Gallego has claimed he terminated her after he made a sexual advance on her, and she rejected him and complained to then Congressman's chief of staff. She tells me she's going public in great detail. Stay tuned. The whispers of Senator Gallego have always been rampant, but if this shoe drops, he's cooked. All right. Is there volume on any of this? I'm trying to click on this to expand it. I don't want to read what she wrote. I'll share that one. Oh, wow. Okay, so Variety says a police investigation underway in Australia after Katy Perry was accused of SA by Batgirl and Orange is the New Black actor Ruby Rose. The pop star has denied the allegations, calling them reckless lies. Victoria Police said in a statement, Melbourne Offences and Child Abuse Investigation, SOCIT directives, investigating an alleged historical sexual assault occurred in Melbourne in 2010. Police have been told the incident occurred at a licensed premises in Melbourne CBD. Be inappropriate to comment further. Ruby Rose says the author of the singer of the song, I Kissed a Girl and I liked it. Here you go. Mute the show at this point. I'll tell you what the accusation is. This is pretty wonky, people. Reckless lies. Exactly, David. Here, let's all right, tune this out if you want. Ruby Rose launches wild SA allegations against Katy Perry, claims Perry rubbed disgusting vagina on her face until eyes snapped and projectile vomited on her. Perry's rep tells Variety these allegations are dangerous lies. It caused Rose to vomit. Oh, she adds that she filed a police report regarding the incident, a few hours ago, so recently. Around 20 years ago at an Australian nightclub. 20 years. How can anyone defend Katy Perry after seeing videos displaying her inappropriate behavior with teenage boys? Here's Katy Perry kissing a 14-year-old boy at her concert. "14-year-old boy. Okay. She previously described the alleged assault as a funny little drunk story. But as of this afternoon, she finalized reports, no longer able to comment or talk publicly on them. I can start the healing process now and temporarily move forward. Perry has denied the accusations. Anna Kendrick once claimed aggressive Katy Perry did something to her.
It was a crazy night. I've never been around so many. Katy Perry finger banged my cleavage. It was a weird night. She's very mature.
Paint the scene. So you're standing still and Katy Perry walks by and
I have met her before, and yeah, she's like...
That's her thing.
Yeah, you know, she's aggressive. I like it.
Okay.
Okay, so that's Katy Perry. Remember, famously with Justin Trudeau. Don Keith shares this Irish senator admitting that her own national flag terrifies her. She calls it a disgrace to see the Irish tricolor at protests, claiming it scares her. Get these woke people out of government. Hey, look! It's an angry white female leftist. Great. Ford Fisher reporting this NBC Washington Post about D.C. police. Lieutenant Matthew Mall charged with soliciting a minor and possessing child exploitation material. He's been at MPD for 23 years, assigned to Special Operations Division, and had been the chairman of the D.C. Police Union. Terrible. We have far too many wolves in sheep's clothing. Let's play a game of Pokemon and collect them all already. Hillary Clinton admits to being part of engineering Lebanon. I don't know.
But we see Hezbollah is not by any means defeated because we're engaged in in a war now in southern Lebanon. I would wish the following. Number one, and finally there seems to be some opening here. I've been advocating behind the scenes for this now for several months. Israel should support this Lebanese government. There has not been a better Lebanese government since the Syrians and Iranians assassinated Hariri. They are trying. Do they have all the capacity they need? No. But they are trying to set up a government in Lebanon that can deal with the threat that Hezbollah poses internally to Lebanon. And so rather than making their task even harder, work with this new government in Lebanon. See how far you can help them to go to disarm Hezbollah. But we see.
So Hillary saying I've been advocating behind the scenes for this for several months. So what type of role is the Hillary Clinton Secretary of State pulling behind the scenes? Hillary needs to go away. Yeah, but it's like the deep state never goes away. Ruben Gallego press conference addressing rumors he was in the room with Eric Swalwell while he was conducting himself inappropriately with a sex worker. Okay, so that's the claim. He was in the room.
Thank you, everyone, for being here. I call this today because there's just a lot of rumors going around about me, about my family.
And about my family.
And unfortunately, this is not the first time. I had to deal with the same BS in 2024 and 2023 when they ran millions and millions of dollars of smears against me, lied about my family.
They're lying about me.
And it's the same damn people again. Carrie Lake, Chris LaCivita, bunch of political operatives. They couldn't do it in 2024, trying to do it again in 2026. So I want to make a couple of things very clear. Number one, Eric Swalwell lied to all of us. He lied to the most powerful people in this country. And they trusted him. They trusted him with some of the most sensitive spots in our government, whether it was on Judiciary Committee, Intel Committee, impeaching Donald Trump. And that clouded my judgment, my friendship with him, our family's friendship together with him clouded my judgment. And I was wrong. I deeply, deeply regret that.
Were you in the room?
The women that came forward are courageous, and they still deserve justice. But to be clear again, I also had no knowledge of predatory behavior, sexual assault, or harassment. And unfortunately right now, the same people that are attacking me in 2024 are using this horrible situation that's been thrown upon these women, thrown upon Eric Swalwell's family, and using this as an excuse to attack me, lie about me, and lie about my family. I will not take that lightly.
It'll be very heavy, not lightly.
So with that, I'll gladly take any questions, because we're here, and I'm not going to let the same thing fade out.
And I'm not going to what?
Here, I'm not going to let the same thing fade out.
Anybody tell me what he said, and I'm not going to let Siegfried and Roy again. What's he say?
Any questions? Because we're here, and I'm not going to let the same thing fade out.
I'm not going to same again.
Not going to let the same thing fade out.
I'm not going to Sigmund Freud again. Amanda Siegfried again.
I'm not going to let the same thing fade out.
What is he saying here? Anybody? Whatever. Ruben Gallego, I believe to be a heavily compromised individual. Impeach him immediately. Throw him in jail. Matt Van Swoel talks about what Virginia's pushing here. It means if California, New York, and if they vote Democrat by enough margin, Virginia's electoral votes go Democrat. Even if Virginians vote Republican by a landslide. This is literally exactly why the Electoral College exists, to prevent the most populous states from running the country over everyone else. University of Wisconsin Stevens Point has quietly taken sophomore soccer player Paige Osterowski off of its official women's soccer roster after her arrest for assaulting conservative journalist Savannah Hernandez. It remains unclear whether Ostrowska will be permitted to continue playing for the Pointers. The university has not issued a formal statement as the investigation is still ongoing. Remember, Savannah was attacked like this. By the way, that's assault. Someone gets up in your face and starts damaging your hearing, like that's assault. I don't know a jury anywhere that would let someone off the hook if you walk up to somebody and start screeching in their ear. Looking for a fight.
Yo, it's fight. Yo, it's over. It's over. It's over.
Yeah, this is going to end very poorly for these post-election. This was the whole family. Man, these other angles are even worse. Look at that. A big dude blasts her in the back. Well, stay tuned. Yeah. Don't even want to share that story of a woman getting executed by her neighbor. I think that's the gist of what I wanted to share with you today. Vatican aligns with Obama network as Pope hosts David Axelrod, the Obama strategist. Hal Lambert suggests Pope Leo calls out President Trump to damage Republicans' Catholic vote in the midterms after meeting with Obama strategist. Cynical Publius says it's in the best interest of the Roman Catholic Church, the USA, and the world that the Vatican publicly release details as to the subject matter of the recent meeting between Pope Leo and Obama's political strategist, David Axelrod. The incident is harming the Church and the USA far more than it's harming the USA itself. Transparency may diffuse the situation. Oh, I got to show you this one. Will Adam Schiff get busted lying? Catherine Herridge says new reports about the Trump impeachment. Whistleblower says Schiff before allegations. What is this? Yeah, they're all involved. Rep. Ayanna Pressley is getting busted. Went into Congress with a negative net worth, now worth $8 million. Pack Street takeover turns violent in Los Angeles after shooting broke out. Four people hospitalized after getting shot.
All right. Yeah, no, I'm out. I'm going home. I'm going home. Oh, get down. Go. Oh.
Comes just weeks after another violent street takeover in downtown LA where a crowd smashed windows and forced its way into a luxury apartment building. Blue cities are out of control. Leave them. Judge Boasberg has been slapped down by the U.S. Appeals Court, banned from trying to hold Trump officials in contempt after they deported illegal aliens under the Alien Enemies Act. He lost. Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche says today's decision by the D.C. Circuit should finally end Boasberg's year-long campaign against hardworking department attorneys doing their job fighting illegal immigration. Last year, SCOTUS upheld Trump deporting illegals under the Alien Enemies Act. And Stephen Miller said at the time, this was huge. I mean, monumental victory for President Trump. Total embarrassment for Judge Boasberg. So why can't you just recall Boasberg? He's an enemy of the state. He's an activist. He's a traitor. These monsters can now be hunted down and expelled from this country with speed, force, and efficiency. It's official. Trump wins again. Wall Street Apes reports
law that decriminalized. We turn down to Illinois after Governor Pritzker signed a new law that decriminalizes spreading HIV. Now, the new policy officially repeals a law that was.
Sorry, I'm reading the comments. I apologize. There's a couple times in the past week or two, I'm like, all right, that's what I had for you today. And you guys are like, all right, I'll see you later. But then I'm like, wait, hold on. There's so many more stories worth talking about. But I'm like, I can't do a 5-hour show. There's so much to talk about on today's program, though. As I scroll through, I'm like, God, every one of these I could expand on for 20 minutes. I'm not going to. I'm just doing the highlights, though. Listen to Flee Blue Cities, Flee Blue States. Look at J.B. Pritzker in Illinois.
We turn down to Illinois after Governor Pritzker signed a new law that decriminalizes spreading HIV. Now, the new policy officially...
Why would you decriminalize spreading HIV? If you're engaging in sexual activity knowing that you are radioactive, that is a crime.
Repeals a law that was passed back in 1986. There have been 8 people who were convicted on the law since it was enacted. The AIDS Foundation of Chicago says 80 have been charged, but for that foundation, this is just as much about breaking a stigma.
A stigma. It's about, just like you don't want a tick to bite you and end up with Lyme disease for the rest of your life. You don't want someone to pretend they're healthy enough for sexual activity, but they're going to pass something demonic over to you. Here's a virus. I want you to have this for the rest of your life. Something that could end your life. No thanks. Flee blue cities, flee blue states. Julie posted this, so I'll read this out of TNAM Preparedness. You should be aware. She says, I took my 11-year-old to her checkup this morning, and the nurse asked me to step out of the room for a moment. I politely declined, and she said, it's just for a moment. And I told her, no, thank you. Given all the stories about children being abused, my husband and I decided to never leave our children alone with anyone, even medical providers. Anything you need to do or say, you can do with me in the room. She looked all miffed and just left. No idea what her plan was, but she didn't feel the need to continue it with me present. And that makes me even more suspicious. When she left, my daughter thanked me for not leaving. She's already shy about the doctor. Her eyes got so wide when the lady asked me to leave. That's what you do. Don't let them get alone with your kids, ever. Okay. Now, James O'Keefe catches on camera. LA Housing Department financial officer admits witnessing multiple instances of fraud, up to 10 to 20 million, and going to people's pockets. Homeless developers committing major forms of embezzlement with superiors looking the other way to help Mayor Karen Bass maintain re-election funds. Dig in. Humble Flow says a white South African whose family has been in Africa for 400 years is a colonizer with no homeland, according to some. But a man who crossed the U.S. border illegally yesterday is a fellow American with full moral authority. That in response to Elon posting about how South Africa won't allow Starlink to be licensed even though he was born there simply because he's not black. They were offered many times the opportunity to bribe their way to a license by pretending that a black guy runs Starlink South Africa, but I have refused to do so on principle. Racism should not be rewarded no matter to which race it's applied. Shame on the racist politicians in South Africa. They should be shown no respect whatsoever anywhere in the world and shunned for being unashamed racists. Well, damn. Elon calls it an insane double standard. Who's pushing this? We should identify the people and organizations by name. Elon here talking with Rogan says you'd think that if you're going to be appointed as a judge, you have to be proven, you should have to have proven that you have an excellent knowledge of the law and that you'll make your decisions according to the law. That's what we assume should be a requirement. But it's not. All right, 2 final stories here. By the way, last chance to hit like, hit subscribe, share the show with a friend. Keep your comments coming in. Consider supporting the New American Media on Patreon. You can do it for like $10 a month. We do like $5 a post, and we post twice a month at this stage. You can sign up as a monthly supporter on Rumble and a monthly supporter on YouTube, I think as low as $5 a month. And if you want to drop us a tip, here as I've been Brian the bartender, your humble bartender, going through the news and looking at all the stuff on the TV screens, and we're talking about it. Just like we're sitting at a real bar. Except I'm drinking coffee, you're drinking in the infotainment. But yes, you can do Rumble Rant tips, Super Chat tips, PayPal, Venmo, Cash App, all scrolling at the bottom of the screen. We appreciate all of them. Thank you. Yes, Judge Boasberg, definitely thumbs down. All right. Border Czar Tom Homan is speaking to reporters with a perfect response to Pope Leo. 2 final stories here. This is good.
I'm not going to speak for the president. I'm speaking for myself, a lifelong Catholic. I wish they stay out of immigration. They
Lifelong Catholic wishing the Pope will stay out of immigration.
don't know what they're talking about. Because if they wore my shoes for 40 years and talked to a 9-year-old girl that got raped multiple times, or stood in the back of tractor trailer with 19 dead aliens at my feet, including a 5-year-old boy that baked to death, if they understood the atrocities that happen on an open border, I think their opinion would change. And I welcome a discussion with any of them because they don't understand. Illegal immigration is not a victimless crime. Where President Trump had the most secure border in the lifetime of this nation right now, lives are being saved. He's saving thousands of lives a year because he has a secure border. Human traffickers are out of business, right? The cartels are going bankrupt because of that secure border. I wish they'd understand that, because if they did, I think they have a different opinion. I'm not going to speak for the president. I'm speaking for myself, a lifelong Catholic. I wish they stay.
And just speaking for himself. Talk to that 9-year-old girl. Open the tractor trailer, 19 expired illegal aliens. And a 5-year-old boy that cooked. His opinion would change. Yeah, illegal immigration is not a victimless crime, but they say the Catholics are getting super rich off of it. And they're pushing all their angry white female leftists out there through their churches to make it a holy mission to open up your doors, open up your windows, and let anybody invade your home. That's exactly what it is. Didn't know the Pope was running for office. I know it's a very political post, that Pope. All right, and here's our final story of the day. I might have shared this on yesterday's show, but just newly released surveillance video shows a high school principal in Oklahoma tackling a school shooter before he could open fire on kids. What a hero. Principal Kirk Moore rushed the shooter when he aimed at his first would-be victim, wrestling the gun away from him. Give this man an award, absolute legend, $1 million bond. Here we go. Your Zen moment of Zen for the day. This guy walks in, and there's someone sitting right there on the bench, and it looks like, oh, he racks it right there. He goes, ch-ch. Adds one to the chamber. Yep, that ch-ch is exactly what happens there. Some student over here sees that and goes, I'm going the other way. He comes in waving his arm and bam! And he's just working on that gun and he's got force and power. But it's like, can somebody come in and give him a hand? Take that out of his hand. Man, that dude went down like a sack of potatoes. Sheesh. I mean, you had that much time to react. I want this guy to play middle linebacker for the Cleveland Browns. And maybe we'll draft somebody like that in the upcoming draft that will help us change the trajectory of our team. Bravo to you. Principal Kirk Moore. Real American hero. This cheers goes out to you, Mr. Principal, who tackled a would-be shooter. Bud Light presents Real Men of Genius. Bravo. Be ready to act. We're all first responders out there, so just keep your head on a swivel. And thank you for swiveling over to give us your attention and have a good time over here today at the TNAM Daily Show here on the New American Media. Your support's crucial. We need you to invite your friends. Share the show link to a couple of your smart friends and family, neighbors, coworkers, the smart ones. Be like, hey, can you join us? We're live at noon. We might go earlier in the day. We might go later in the day. For now, we're at noon. But we unpack the news together, and we try to work in some of your comments. We try to have a good time in the comment section, the regulars and the first timers. Make sure you hit the notifications bell on YouTube. Like I said, Rumble Rant, Super Chat. We love all the tips. And we're on all the platforms. So just search the New American Media. Sign up for our podcast as well on Spotify. We want to make sure people are checking out the podcast as well. So without further ado, signing out on behalf of everybody out there in the TNAM universe. Dina actually put the exact emoji I was looking for right there. I appreciate you. I love you. And we will talk to you again soon. Take care, everybody. Peace.
Your guide to the truth. TheNewAmericanMedia.com.